Hey guys, so these past couple days I've been sick, and while I've been sick, I've been reading Carl Jung. It recently came up in a conversation with my friend. We were talking about dreams, and then also another very important conversation I had. Um, to make the connection, I started to see that things that happen in life, while you're awake, um, are kind of in a way, and not identical to, but related to what happens in your dreams. For instance, recurring dreams, recurring themes and patterns, um, unconscious fears, or images of yourself. You sort of build the reality around you in your waking state, kind of reflects that, I think. Um, for instance, if you have a negative image of yourself, maybe you keep meeting people um, who reinforce that about you. You know, maybe you seek out relationships that reinforce that negative or positive image um, of yourself. So, at first, this may not seem that unusual. It's just very, it has a very rational explanation. You seek out those things because they're unconscious in you. Uh, but in my personal experience, and I think in many other people's experiences, some things are just not explainable like that. They're in the most, they're the parents you've been raised with, that that you seem to that actually give you the best lessons, the friendships that you meet when you're young, um, things that happen seem to come to you just like in a dream. Things that happen to you. Waking life is much like a dream in that sense, in that there's some kind of synchronicity going on. We're sure there's some causal relationships, but there seems to be this weird synchronous uh, acausal component to it that's still meaningful, and it's not just you projecting meaning. It's almost as if um, you will meet people who have a lesson to teach you, and it's meant like that, and if you can pick up on why things bother you about certain people, you learn more about yourself. I mean, of course, you don't have to take this to this level, but personally, I've found that many relationships, many friendships, um, almost surrounding me, have been lessons for me to learn to, at least personally, learn to give myself a voice before just being quiet, or to learn to stand, learn to stand and walk around before I just sit down. I kind of have a more passive nature to me. So, but on the dual side, actually, I have a more aggressive, um, I guess more egoic, kind of like center limelight thing. But that's very rare that I can pop that out. Usually in non-sober states. But yeah, there's like this performer self, blah blah blah, and you just kind of see how your relationships are built around these um, self images, this back and forth dynamic that you've got, and they're all opportunities for you to realize. They're all opportunities for you to switch that up and to grow, to be more comfortable with who you are. And most people, they just repeat it or they don't realize it. And in the same way, dreams can be very transformative. They show you your unconscious, But waking life can do the same. And so I see this connection between our dreaming life and our waking life, and that there's synchronicity, there's the revealing of the unconscious, and that both aren't orderly, both aren't neat. We impose that neatness on it, we impose that orderliness on it with our our rationality, and so on and so forth. So waking life and dreaming life, and especially dreaming life, because it's just even more abundantly evident, is a great way into understanding yourself, and then applying that understanding in waking life. So that's sort of the background of this, and this is taking up half the video, so I'll just be quick. This idea that nature, that that reality is there's this acausal component to reality, this synchronous component to reality, this messy, um, different kind of, it's almost like a natural intelligence. And I know Alan Watts mentioned something similar to this. The universe is inherently intelligent, not in the intelligence as you would personify it, but a more organic intelligence that isn't linear, that seems to be, you know, irrational to us, messy, and sometimes grotesque. And yet, you know, we've grown out of it. We've evolved from it. And yet, in societies, we develop meaning from life. There seems to be these, I guess, dual components, the rational and the irrational. But the irrational is what we emerged from. So, human civilization as a whole can be likened to what the individual goes through in trying to reintegrate these natural components of himself, herself, the collective unconscious and the personal unconscious, which are messy, and you don't want to deal with that. But it comes up anyway, you know. So it's not about regression or suppression of that, which I think has happened in society as a whole and in the individual. Um, but a learning how to accept that natural intelligence and return to it, now lucidly, now consciously, with your individual self. Um, Now, I drew a little picture about this really quick. Um, Here you go. So we kind of like emerge into life. Um, the ego is developed. We go through our life, and the integration process of returning to this more complete reality, the parts that we wanted to ignore, um, with a new element, the self, the individual, and the ego. The ego, sure, you can say there's an ego death or whatever here, but you don't lose your individuality when you return to this, um, the unconscious, or the more complete reality, the more um, supreme intelligence, whatever you want to call it, Brahman, God. Um, you don't lose yourself and dissolve into it. You return to it as an individual. And again, this is again likened to dreams. When you go into a dream, you're not conscious. You're just running through it unconsciously. Um, when you become conscious in a dream, it's a lucid dream. And then you become a creator with the dream. You integrate the conscious and the unconscious. You're sort of living in this beautiful connection between this more abstract natural intelligence that's experiencing you in your dream, and then you're coming to it. You know what they say. Meister Eckhart said, um, "What God sees me through the same eye that I see Him," or something like that. It's kind of like this returning is the transpersonal, the transcendent, um, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It's living life lucidly. And I think dreams are a great connection to this sort of more complete reality that we're a part of, because they offer us lessons, they offer us connections, and they're a mirror, they're a feedback for us to help develop ourselves and connect with these things that we may have forgotten about. A whole different way of experiencing life is to experience it like a personal development journey. Many of us don't do that. We repeat our patterns. Most of us have a bad image of ourselves, and we just let that keep going and going. Um, so, how can we get past that? Jung was also an alchemist. He considered himself an alchemist of the psyche. We have this finite reality, and we emerge from this infinite reality. How can we consciously integrate the two? It's the paradox, but that's the point of alchemy, transcending duality. So I don't know, just think about that. How to dream lucidly, how to live lucidly in your life. Thanks for listening.